Johnny, in your own words, who are you and what the hell do you do?
I'm John, or Johnny from Donny, a businessman, wheeler dealer, philanthropist. I live life on the limit.
I'm going to shut this bridge. Let's hurry up and get these cars up. Lad, if the police come, let them know it's fucking full time.
Raffle time.
It's raffle time. You mentioned that you were actually quite private.
Lads' parents come to me mum's and was like, oh, he's the bad influence, it's Johnny.
I've seen a lot of people in the comments section.
Is it legit? People immediately think you're this certain type of person.
What's like one of the most valuable cars you've raffled? £575,000. Now you've got about 90,000 followers on your Instagram. How do you sell that many tickets to cover a car of that value? Johnny, outside this van is a collection of cars that I can't quite behold. Like, we've got a Cullinan behind, we've got an SBR, we've got an RS6 GT, we've got an SF90, we've got an SVJ that you've literally just let me take up the road and bring back. It leads me on to my first question perfectly. Johnny, in your own words, who are you and what the hell do you do?
I'm John, or Johnny from Donny, as of late. I'm a businessman, wheeler dealer, if you like, style business if you want. I'm a father. I'm a philanthropist, is it? These days, I think that probably if we wanted to put a posh name on it, I try and be as good to people as they are to me, and we just see where we go. You know, I live life on the limit, and I just take each day as it comes. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I've seen a lot of people in the comments section of my videos asking, God knows how many times, you need to get Johnny from Donny on. You need to get Johnny from Donny on. And to be fair, at the time, I was like, who the hell is Johnny from Donny? I've not seen any of this. And you mentioned that you were actually quite private over a year ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know who this guy is. And then I've been shown videos and I was like, who on earth is this absolute nutcase? Like sending buggies down lanes and doing the wildest stuff with the craziest cars. Now, I've learned more and more about you and all kinds of different things that you do. And as you said, you've described yourself as a bit of a dealer, a bit of doing this, a bit of doing that. If you follow Johnny on Instagram, you'll see that your stories every day are completely that. Yeah. You're just doing this and doing that. But do you want to just take us back to, like, before we paint the picture of what it is that you're doing, what life was like when you were younger? Who were you growing up?
The same person, just probably at a different price tag. So I was the kid at school that was on the tennis courts first thing in the morning, at break and at dinner, selling away. So I'd be selling cookies, crisps, Haribo, Lucozade. I used to sell these like apple sour, sugary strips. I used to do well at them. So I used to go after school to like the cash and carry. I'd go and buy stuff at like effectively wholesale price. And then as much as you shouldn't do it at school, I'd go into school with 3 or 4 bags every day. And then, I used to just sell away. I was just known for the kid that sold everything at school. So
where did that come from? Why were you that seller? Why did you
don't know, you know. My mum just says to anyone that asks or listens, she says, I don't know where he's come from. She's not like business orientated. She's hardworking, really hardworking. And so are my sisters, but they're all work within like the educational field, within schools. You know, one of my sisters works within a school. My other sisters works within social care. It's not like I've seen someone do it, but I don't know where it come from. I used to, do you know when my mum used to say to people at Christmas and birthdays, you might as well just give John money. You buy him a present, he'll sell it. And I used to even set up, even at Christmas, like let's say you get given chocolate, all your selection boxes and all your stuff. I used to set a stall up and try and flog it to my sisters. So they'd obviously been given Christmas money like I had. And, you know, we didn't get loads as kids. Listen, I'm not going to sit here going, I had a bad upbringing, I had a fantastic upbringing. We didn't have a lot though. Like we learned the value of money really early, and my mum installed that in us. And like obviously, what Christmas Day, I could see that my sister had been given a few quid, you know. So I used to try selling my stuff. So I'd been given for Christmas. Sounds bad really because they're being given as presents, but I used to just try flog it to my sisters. So my mum just got to the point now where she'd just say to anyone that asked if we're buying John something for Christmas or his birthday, just give him money because he just sells what you give him.
When you were that kid though, were you noticing like nice things out and about, things that were outside your realm of what was achievable at the time?
100%. I think from really young, I've noticed nice things, always wanted nice things, and we couldn't have it as kids. But my mum never put any limitation on it. So even though we didn't have it and it was unachievable at that point in my life, she would say, you just work hard, do what you need to do and you'll get it, no doubt. So she never ever capped what we're dreaming to do, if that makes sense. So it was just basically the world's your oyster. Go out, put enough time and effort into something, do it well. And there's no reason you won't achieve it. So I think one of the really early things that I wanted as a kid, really wanted, was a motorbike. And my mum was just like, not a chance. I've seen how you are on your push bike. I've seen how you are with everything else we've bought you. Not have a chance you're having a motorbike.
Nuts, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I just... if whatever its top speed is, I want to do it within seconds of owning something. That's just how I've been forever. If someone says to me, that's capable of doing that, I'll go, okay, let's try and do it then. So I've just never... A lot of people buy nice cars and the collectibles and this, like, some people recently think it's sacrilege how I'm treating that GT RS6 because it's a limited run car. People would give the left arm to get one, and I just keep rallying mine around fields. Do you know what I mean? So back to me, what my mum said. My mum didn't want me to have a motorbike. She just said, look, this is going to be short-lived. Looking out for me, really, knowing how I have been with everything else I've had, just probably thought, listen, he's going to end up seriously injured or even worse, dead if he gets a motorbike. But obviously I was going to school every day and I was selling away. I was selling before school, selling during dinner, sweets, crisps. I used to go to the free school meal office on a Monday morning and I used to buy, some kids would get their meals for free, under like free school meals scheme where basically they got a little bit of help towards getting their dinners. So I think it used to get sent a check out in the post to pay for the week's dinner and then have to bring the check into the school and then swap it for dinner tickets. I used to be stood at that office on a Monday morning, cashing them out of their checks. And then I'd get the dinner tickets and then go sell them to kids who paid for their meals for less than they could buy one themselves. So then I'm making 20, 30p a ticket. So I used to do all that during school. So then it got to the point where I actually started having a bit of my own money saved up. And obviously I'm trying to get a motorbike, but my mum don't want me to have one. But actually I've probably got enough money to just go out and buy my own now. So then it got to the point where she just said, I can't really stop it any longer. So I went out and bought a motorbike. I got a motorbike. We used to take it over the road from her house and down the lanes, and we used to just fly about on it as kids. And then I think I bought it for half a decent price, and then I sold it, and I sold it relatively easy, even as a young kid from my mum's. So I thought I'd buy another one.
Just to add some context to that for everyone to keep along listening, what age was that?
11.
So you're 11 years old.
11, 12-year-old.
So you're not 18 buying your first motorbike or 16. We're talking about 11. And I thought that was the case, which is why I raised it.
Yeah.
And just to add some context, how long ago was that now? Where are you now?
32 now.
Wow. So that was a while ago as well.
So when people say to me, you've done really well, you've done this, in my eyes, I've been at it for 20 years. So although I'm relatively young, so someone would say, you've had this from young, you've had that from young. I have. But in my head, I started work when I was 11. And alongside what I did at school, selling bits of crisps and pop and stuff like that, I had 3 or 4 paper rounds that I used to do alongside that as well. So I used to do the morning paper round and I'd go out delivering papers as a paper boy. And then I picked as many up as I could on an evening. So I was on our local shop. It's gone now, but I used to be on our local newsagent and I was on him for years leading up to me being old enough. I think he didn't want you to be a paper boy till you was 12. And I think I was on his case from about 8, saying, when you got a job for me? I used to go with my granddad, walk to the shop with him, and we'd go in, I'd go get bits of shopping with him and go back home. And then I was on, the chap was called Ian Gibson. I know I used to be on his case from young, and I'd go, have you got a round for me yet? Because obviously I knew then I'd maybe earn £10, £15 a week doing the paper round. So, and he'd be like, you're not old enough. And I think I went in, I was about 11. And I said, you must have a paper round for me now. He said, you're nearly 12. I think it might have been 2-3 months from my 12th birthday. And he finally gave me an evening round. So I started doing that. And then I just said to him, if any paper boys quit, don't give anyone new rounds. Just I'll take them all. I don't mind if you've got 6 paper boys, I'll do the full village. Don't take 6 and don't take 5 new lads on. Just give me all 6 rounds and I'll do every one of them. And I think by the end of it, I ended up with the morning round. And I think I had 3 or 4 on an evening. So my bag, it got to the point where my bag were about that thick, setting off on my bike. And then I used to just do the village every night. I'd done that till I even passed my test. I was driving, I'd left school, and I even had my first job somewhere else, and I still went and done the paper round because at the time I used to keep myself in shape a lot better than I do now.
But what you're talking about is work ethic. Just what you're talking about is a hunger to earn money.
Yeah.
I can understand and see where the hunger to earn money comes from.
Yeah.
what I can't fully understand yet, and not saying anything about your mum, is but where that level of work ethic comes from and the ability to want to do those deals. Now, you've not mentioned your dad yet. Is that like
I don't speak to my dad. Yeah. No, I don't. It's not a tough point. No. My dad was involved in my life till I was about 16 when he left. But yeah, do you know, just so my sisters have little bits to do with him and things like that. I just never got on with him very well. And obviously growing up, him and my mum didn't get on the best. And over the years, I've just made the decision now where that whole aspect of my life, I've just put it in a box and shut it, and it's not something I'll ever reopen. So I can speak about it freely.
Like, even though you're not keen on him,
yeah.
Do you think there's any personality characteristics that that have come through?
No, I think it's come from my mum. And that's not to try and discredit him or take anything away from him, but my dad's done the same. He's retired now, but my dad done the same job for 30 years. Never changed. And I think the difference between my mum and my dad was growing up was my mum was like, the sky's the limit, have a go. My dad was, you shouldn't do that, this might happen. So I think the chalk and cheese in their personalities of my mum saying you can go fly the nest and achieve anything you put your mind to, he was the complete opposite of saying it's probably not achievable, that you should. He was risk averse in a lot of things and in his character as well. So I think actually if I was to say he gave me anything, it was just push me to do what I wanted to do more.
I can clearly see you're a bit of a hothead, especially growing up.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what you'd have been like in your teenage years.
Yeah.
When you're like that and you've got a hunger, you've got ambition, and you want to be able to do this and that and anything, I'm imagining that you also had some circumstances in your teens that maybe woke you up a bit, and some things that when you've taken that many risks that frequently,
I think,
did anything go wrong?
Yeah, as kids, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think of anything where I can... we got into little bits of trouble growing up. If you take loads of risks multiple times over and get away with it, you start to get this feeling of like invincibility and things like that. So we just got to the point as kids where I think it was a point of time where we was in the mindset or the frame of mind where we could probably just do just about anything and get away with it. So we got into bits of trouble growing up, disagreements with like other friendship groups, where you ultimately, I think there was once upon a time, we was out and about. I think there was 4 of us in a car. We was out and about, as you are as younger lads. This is more when I was 17. We was in a car and we'd end up having a disagreement with another car. I end up damaging this other person's car, which obviously the older you get, you realise you probably shouldn't do that. But yeah, we all got arrested that night. We all ended up in the cells. And then, a couple of the other lads' parents come to my mum's and was like, oh, he's the bad influence. It's John. He's this, because I think... I used to take a lot of the blame and a lot of the brunt from the thinking I'm leading their kids astray. But really, we just part of growing up. I think that's one incident that I could put. That probably happened.
Do you look back and
loads of times?
Do you know what I mean? Proud of that though?
No, I'm not. You're not proud of it. And I think you look back as you grow up and you think, you do all those things in the moment. And as I say, you get this sense of invincibility. If you keep doing something and get away with something you shouldn't be doing, then you just start you become immune to the risk of it. And I think we got that a little bit growing up. We were Jack the lads.
Jack the lad that got a Range Rover Sport SVR on his drive by 19 years old.
Yeah. So before I bought that, I got an RS6 when I was 19. I got an SVR, I think, when I was 20. So I ended up, I think, as kids, insurance now is completely different, but as kids, my first car was a Vauxhall Corsa, as you do, exhaust lowered, sub in the boot, 1.2 mapped up. I remember us taking our courses to this fella, there were 1.2 SXIs, and I was like, can you map it? We're like, what do you want me to do? I went, just do whatever you can. So we all ended up getting maps on these 1.2 courses, and then my 2 best mates, we all had the same car. We used to just fly around in them. All we wanted to have as kids was the fastest possible cars we could get and get insured on them at the same time for what we could afford at the time. So I remember I'd sat on the Go Compare or the Confused.com all night one night and just put reg after reg in to see what engine, where I could push the engine size. And we ended up, I ended up ringing my best mate and I said, Passat. He went, what? I went, Passat Highline, 2 litre TDI, the 170 brake standard. We can insure them for about 1,100 quid. Yeah. He went, you're joking? I went, no. So within a short, I think a matter of days from me saying that to him, I'd gone out and got one of these Passat Highlands, realised I could map it up, I could do turbo. So then we was just pushing the boundaries from young every time. And then I think I'd done maybe a little 6-7 months in these Passats. I swapped mine for a Jetta. And even, again, coming back to wheeling and dealing, even everything I've ever bought is for sale. So I had this Passat, but if someone offered me profit on it, whether it left me without a car tomorrow, you can buy it and I'll go get another one. So I've always had that mentality, and nothing was really here to keep. So I had this Passat, I ended up getting offered profit on it. I sold it. I went out and got a Jetta, same engine, mapped up, done the same again, ran that for a few months. And then I ended up getting a 535D when I was 18. Again, just constantly pushing the boundary of insurance, of what will they say yes to. And then at this point, I'd actually left school. I'd gone self-employed. So I'd started working for a company selling field sales role, selling solar energy, basically. I'd been working. So from me leaving school, I'd got a full-time job selling car insurance, working on the phones as a telecanvasser. I'd done about a year of that in a call centre. And I don't really know how to explain it, but the job that I went on to do, and the job I'd still do to this day, alongside, flipping bits of cars and stuff like that, is like a middleman sales operation, which to this day I still do, and I still run, and I still own the business. And that was always from back then. I always thought this is like where I want to be with what I like to do. I love the middleman scenario of buy there, sell there, in whichever capacity you do it in. So I'd done about 12 months working on the phone selling car insurance for Direct Line Group. So it was like multiple of brands. I can't remember, it was Direct Line, Churchill, and a few others, all under the same banner. So I was on the phones doing that. And I remember even when I used to work there, I used to tell my team leader, I used to go, oh, look, I'm going to end up doing this. I used to tell them where I wanted to be in life. And then I think when you work amongst salaried people, and the limitations of the job is you're salaried, this is your earning potential for the full year. As soon as you start talking about progression within those type of environments, I think it's all very, you're the same as the rest of us. Sit down, do your job. Do you know what I mean? So I used to mention what I wanted to go on and do, and I remember one of the managers, even back at that job, was like, oh, John, you constantly go on about doing this, doing the other. You just go on like you're going to change the world. I said, I'm not going to change the world, but I definitely want more than this job. While I work here, I'll give it absolutely everything, because that's my mindset. And just because I talk about where I want to end up in life as a younger person doesn't mean that I come to work and I give it any less. I'd still do the job to my best of my ability. So I'd done that till I was about 17. I passed my test not long after my 17th birthday. I'd already done my provisional, all that was done, dusted, ready to go. So not long after my 17th birthday, I passed my test. And then obviously with money that I'd saved from my paper round and growing up, I bought my first car. I got this Corsa, which was the Corsa that I've said. And then I just started searching fastest growing industries in the UK, just trying to sort of look into what's the next big thing. And it kept coming back with renewable energy. So I was 17, 18. I was like, what's renewable energy? So I looked into it a little bit more, started looking at what jobs were available, ended up applying for a job out of Manchester with a company. And it was a field sales role, self-employed, driving around, selling people solar energy. So I ended up going over there, went for an interview, got the job. I mean, now I've worked in that industry for so long, you learn that I come away thinking, oh, they've given me the job, really great. But actually now I've worked in that job for so long and done what was done that interview many, many times over since then. You learn that actually in direct sales, they pretty much take anyone on. Anyone that's happy to go and work commission only as a field sales rep that's driving around, going to appointments.
If you need help with your digital marketing, then you need to click the link in the description and get in touch with me. I have my own agency, Tweak Marketing, which is here to help you take steps forward with your business. We specialise in design, websites, PPC, SEO, ways to help you grow your business. We deal from small clients all the way up to global companies and are ready to take on any project that comes across our desk. I hope you enjoy this episode.
I think that's one thing about you that I'm kind of surprised about.
Yeah.
Is clearly you've got an entrepreneurial flair.
Yeah.
You are an entrepreneur. You've got your own businesses. You've had your own businesses. You do your own business, but you're also not shy of just going to work and working for someone. And that's not typically two things that you see in people. So it's like, I'm trying to make that connection and think like, is the end goal just like money and wherever you can get that money from rather than like what it necessarily is?
Yeah, I'm so... I mean, this is why I said to you, I've just mentioned to you before we come in and started doing this, I said to you, I watched Lenny's podcast the other day with you, and I've already said it to you before, is I don't really watch a lot of these podcasts, but I do watch yours. I think you get loads of interesting people sat here from some similar walks of life to where I'm from, to similar industries and things. So I think you get a real good mix of people. So I actually watched this podcast. So I've said to you already, I didn't really feel I was worthy of going on a podcast. I've been asked so many times to do them, but because I watched this one, I come on it. So I think I'm not shy, so I've said it. So in what I'm saying is that I am an entrepreneur. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've tried multiple different things, succeeded and not succeeded at certain things. But I think my mindset on the whole thing, to summarise, is I just think there's no class to profit. And I'm not really sure. I might go from one day to selling a 300 grand car with X amount of profit in it. And I'm happy to sell tomorrow a 500 grand car with 300 quid in it. Whereas some people get to a point now, and I deal with garages where it's like, we won't buy the car unless there's this across it. I just think that just absolutely blows my mind that could be the easiest 5 grand you ever make. Let's say, for instance, I rang a garage the other day to buy a car off me. He said, unless there's 20 grand across it, John, I don't want it. I thought, but you could make 5 grand an hour on this car. Like, I just can't see how. So that's where I'm maybe a little bit different. And
Is that because you're so used to wheeling and dealing and doing everything yourself?
Maybe so.
That you're less used to the overheads that come with it?
Maybe so. So I think maybe because I am a little bit of a one-man band on that side of what I do, then maybe so that there's not, it's a little bit more, there's less risk involved in the sense of there's less overheads. There's because everything I deal out is a trade level. So then maybe there's no legacy to come with it, and they maybe charge more to protect them. Maybe so, but even so, I think where we're at currently in the current climate out there, I just take every pound that someone can give me, because I don't think we know what's around the corner. Do you know what I mean?
So what exactly was it then? You mentioned you were going into renewables and you'd seen energy.
So
what exactly was it that bought you those first few cars, that amalgamated that amount of money together to buy those vehicles?
So what happened was I'd gone into the company I said in Manchester. I'd been given a job, self-employed, working in a team, out on the road, going to pre-arranged appointments, selling and sitting solar leads effectively. I was going around to people's houses, talking to them about the benefit of solar. In the early days, there was the feed-in tariff that came with it, things like that. So it was just going in, pitching. If they wanted to buy, you signed them up. You got commission for bringing the business in. And then I think I'd done about a year. So it was getting on for like my 19th birthday when I'd done a year or so of working within that business, just taking my appointments every day, going out and doing it. And I just started getting to the point where I thought, there's no reason I can't do this myself. Like there's nothing. I don't maybe have the marketing knowledge back then that I have now, as in terms of how they're generating the appointments, how they're generating inquiries. But I thought it can't be that hard. You know, you've got to find and engage in some level of interest at some level, then go out and present in full. And if the product's for them and it makes sense, then look to, you onboard the business. So I think I just got to the point where I could see this business I was working within. There was X amount of reps. It was making X amount of money at the time, doing really well. And I just thought there's no reason I have to stay here just doing this, working for them. I could do it myself. And I didn't have loads of capital behind me, but I'd been doing good just individually on the road, selling. I'd put some money away, and I just made the decision to go and do it on my own. So I took a little, I live here, Doncaster, and where I was working was predominantly...
Johnny from Donny.
Yeah, it was predominantly out of Stockport. So like halfway house was like Leeds. So I thought, if any sort of connections that I've made over there end up... I don't really know why I did make that decision, but it was just halfway between the two. So I thought, I quite liked at the time that all my work was related out of Manchester. So it was like when I was coming home on a daily basis, it was like work was left behind. I was coming home and it was all, that was that done. And next day, new day tomorrow, effectively. So I put the business in Leeds, which was halfway between the two. And I got a little office, just no bigger. You wouldn't have got this table in it, the first office I got. And back then it was a little bit different in terms of GDPR and things of what you could and couldn't do. So like the directives changed now, but back, I'm talking early, like 2013, 2014 this is. So I ended up just getting a Yellow Pages. I got a landline put into my office. I had this little desk where I was just in there on my own, and I got the Yellow Pages, and I just went by postcode, and I was literally just cold calling people from the thing. I was the one that was booking the appointment, saying, engage in interest, saying, talking about energy spend, feed-in tariff, the government initiative to obviously look towards helping with funding the install, things like that. So then I was just gauging interest at that level on the phone, straight out the Yellow Pages, booking them in for a time and date for someone to come round, which was then subsequently me as well. And then it was me that went round, and then I'd made my own contract, on the carbonated paper where you have 3 copies, one for you, one for them, and one for whoever else needs it. I'd gone and made those contracts up. This is before I even set the first limited company up. I'd just gone and made this paperwork up. I can't even remember. I think I called it something like Eco Solution or something like that. And then I went to the first few leads, and it didn't take. I think I went on about 3 leads, and then I wrote the first deal. But I'd upsold solar panels at the point in time. It weren't panel specific. It weren't manufacturer specific. It was just X amount of panels. This is long before like battery storage or anything came around. So all you were selling to a person back then was just solar. And there was pretty much an industry standard warranty level across them all of like maybe 15 to 20 years. So I was just selling every customer at X number of panels with a 15-year warranty. And then what had started happening is I started getting an order book over a couple of weeks of these people that have got an order for solar panels and are waiting to be installed. But then, because I'd only just started doing it off my own bike, I couldn't install the panels. So then I started ringing around companies and saying, look, I've got 3 customers here ready to go, deposits paid, how much to fit them, and what you're going to give them. And then that just multiplied over the years to where I ended up within that industry. But all I'd done is just created the middle, which was obviously the profit for the business in between. And then it got to the point where I was generating enough leads out the yellow pages on my own to actually take somebody else on and start giving them leads as well, so that they could now go out and sell on this paperwork.
Who do you take on to teach to be able to do that? Do you look for the other kid that's on the schoolyards?
I do.
I
tell you what I've struggled with. I tell you what I've struggled with over the years, moving on now to like maybe right now. Whenever I take someone on in terms of training or looking to give them the knowledge that we've acquired up until this point, I struggle with anyone that's older. I do have older people working for me to this day, and we get on and we have great working relationships. But as a whole, as a general rule of thumb, I've tend to found that people that are older than me have struggled to listen. And I don't know whether that's more them or more me in terms of somebody that's younger than them, telling them how to do the job better than they're currently doing it. So for me, if you said to me, who's your perfect person, I'd love to take me on at 19. Is what I ultimately look for. Is I'm here to work, the job's done, or the day's finished when the job's done, and are self-motivated. I think that in business, you've got businesses yourself. I think finding staff that are self-motivated so hard.
But if you're making that much cash from solar and being the middleman and that built, and then you take somebody on and do it, why everything else? Because everybody knows your name is associated with, and you've got to do this one for my dear friend Cav, because he wanted you to say, what time is it?
It's fucking raffle time.
Exactly. So when the hell does that come into it? How do you find time to do something else? How do you find time to be doing raffles and car flipping and this on the side and solar and all these different things? Like, how do you build that life?
I think it just goes back to 11-year-old me, where what happened? What happened when to give you a bit of a better thing on the timeline of things. So there, what I'm talking about there, maybe 19, 20. And I certainly think I'd done a lot less wheeling and dealing for a couple of years while the firm was getting going and we was opening up and getting and becoming more established within the field. But even then, I'd buy a car for myself to use. And like the day I got it, I'd be happy to sell it. It was more, I think all the things that I've got, I prefer the challenge of buying them than actually getting them, which is why I think
using them,
or just so I think that's why when I get stuff, I don't.
Context: you pulled up when I was sat in the van up, in a white Lamborghini Aventador SVJ.
Yeah,
I went, "Oh, you like this one? Not really. Here's the key. Threw me the keys. Get in. Come on, let's go."
Yeah,
and off we went down the road within seconds. And you're like, "I don't like it at all. I just bought it to sell it. I think the gearbox is rubbish." I do agree with that, by the way. I think the gearbox is rubbish. It doesn't actually sound as good as what you think it does inside. But, I bought it for this and I'm going to sell it.
Yeah.
And that's always been the case. It's about the deal, not the thing.
It's the deal. It's the challenge of getting it. And I just love the deal of it. I think I get more enjoyment selling a car than I do buying it. And I think that's what I've come to realise. I have over the last few years started to hang on to a few little. I have started hanging on to cars. So like certain stuff I haven't sold quite as quickly. Like the RS6 GT there where I've been bid straight away overs for the car. I wouldn't sell it, and I think more so because I've already mentioned I got an RS6 when I was 19. I'd set up the business that I've just spoke to you about. I didn't take any money. I think I was nearly 20 when I got the RS6, but I didn't take any money out of the firm for a long, long time, just leaving it in, growing it, leaving it in, growing it, new staff, new officers. I think I got 3 officers in the first year as we outgrew the previous one. So I'd left the money.
It sounds like the Wolf of Wall Street. That's what I'm picturing, but with solar.
Yeah, a little
like
bit.
Just pick up the phone and start selling.
100%. And it was a little bit like that. I mean, the way that marketing's gone with GDPR and the directive now, everything's digitally driven in terms of lead in, contact out, whereas back then we cold called. So, I mean, once upon a time, I had like 90 staff over 2 floors in the centre of Leeds, ringing out, generating leads. We would either service the lead ourselves or I would sell the lead out to the industry where other people are looking to buy them. So that jumps on maybe 3-4 years. But yeah, I think coming back to selling stuff, I'd worked for so long in that first business without taking a wage to get it going and get it established and actually have something worth having effectively for long-term income. And when I bought the RS6, I think my first dividend out of the firm was maybe 50k. I was still living at home with my mum at the time, and it was the first bit of money I took out of the firm. I took it out on the Friday when when we paid all the wages for everybody, the call centre and the reps and everything like that. I took 50k out of the firm for the first time after maybe 7 or 8 months of not maybe taking any money other than bits of fuel and, getting by. And obviously I was still at home with my mum, so I didn't have major overheads other than what I paid her towards the mortgage and things like that. And on the Saturday morning, I went and bought an RS6. And I get 35 grand for it.
And that was a car you actually...
Yeah, because as kids, a lot of people say to me now, like, oh, what are you... Because there's so many come and go, and I've had so many... I always say we. People go, oh, why'd you say we? Do you know? Because I don't know why I say it, but like you've just pulled up there and I've given you the keys for the car. When I say we, it's because anything I buy, any of my immediate friends, it's theirs. Family, it's theirs. So when I say we, if I buy something, I'm not bothered if you have it, they have it. Just as long as someone's getting enjoyment out of it. I've never been someone that's like mine. That's mine. You're not. I'm just not bothered.
Live for the moment.
I just live for the moment, as I've already said. So that's why I would say we, in the sense of anything I buy is everybody else's anyway.
This leads me on, though, quite nicely, because I feel like a lot of we're talking so quickly, which is fine, but about every one of those scenarios and like how everything grew and those individual points, like being able to buy that car, taking out 50k, the firm had 90 staff. You've identified a market, the product, you're still wheeling dealing. We built it in this picture. But everything, all of that is right on the end of the nose. It's everything that's happening one after another. Did you ever take a point to think about, what do I want to look like in 10 years?
No.
Or are you always living for tomorrow?
Yeah. Fast money and tomorrow. Yeah. I've always been like that. I think since I've had my little girl, I think I certainly look some bits of business now. I certainly look further afield because I got responsibility to her now. So I think up until that point, I only had responsibility to myself. So I definitely take a little bit longer on certain things now. Yeah, it's so you could ring me with a business idea today, and I go, when do we start? Let's do it. Like, because what?
So why do you have that mindset versus the mindset of that might then take time away from my renewables business or from this or from that? And if I actually focus that time more on that stuff, maybe that would get even greater results.
Yeah, and I think I think you definitely, that's the sort of the Peter Robbs Paul scenario of if you put more of that energy into that one specific thing. I think it comes back to the same thing that I keep saying. I just love the challenge. So if someone presents me with a challenge, my head's there. I think, right, what's needed and how.
So then how does the other stuff keep sustainably running in the background?
I think so. Basically, so the renewables business is still going. That still runs. I work out of there every day. So even though I'm sat within my call centre every day, I'm like that on the phone. So I can see everything that's happening within that business. I've got my full logs of the call centre in front of me, wrap times, pause times, conversion time, lead in. So I can physically see all that in front of me every day. So while I'm sat there monitoring that, making sure that that's doing, the phone's ringing and I'm buying cars. And
is that because
I've just learned how to, and I'm not sat here saying I'm some superhero that can do so many things at once and I'm just some amazing multitasker. But I think because I've learned how to compartmentalise Like I do, like when I get into work every morning, I check 3 or 4 things. I check yesterday's contracts. I check all this. So I make sure, and I just compartmentalise. I allocate so much time during the day so I get that job done. That's now done complete. So I think I've learned, whether that someone will probably sit watching this and maybe say that is a skill set, but I think I've just learned to do so many things at once and spin so many plates at the same time that you sort of, I mean, as I say, I'm not saying if I said, right, from tomorrow, I'm no longer doing this, or this, and only this. I'm not saying that one thing I do will then not flourish even more than it is now. I'm not saying it won't. I don't think I'd enjoy that. And I think it comes back to that I quite like the busyness of my day. I like the variety of the day.
In terms of money,
Yeah.
you mentioned how long it took to get like 50k out of that business, for example, and building it up. I'm imagining even in the last couple of months, there's vehicles out here on the drive that have come and gone that have made that in the same day.
Yeah.
Or, half of that, or even potentially more of that. Did you also realise alongside even having a successful business that you could make very easy chunks of money wheeling and dealing if you had the cash to be able to do it?
Yeah, and 100%. And as I've gone on, the longer I've gone on for, and more capital's available, stuff that you'd be offered 5 years ago. I mean, we're talking about an SVJ there now that I wouldn't have dreamt of buying, never mind just buying to sell. Once upon a time, you wouldn't ever have thought you'd have had that much money to your name.
So can you give us an idea of what you paid for that car?
295.
And you'll try and sell that for?
I mean, I put it on for 350, but as I say,
you said earlier you'd accept 500 quid in a car. But it's like in your head,
100%.
If you're green, you're green. Take it, go for it. If it's brilliant, then smart.
And I live my life by the first profit, sometimes the best.
So how the hell would you go out and buy an SVJ for 295?
I have this conversation a lot of times with a few people, and they go, "Oh, you sell cars so easy. I don't know how you do it."
Is that because you've got?
It's because you bought them at the right money.
Capital available, and you can pay from there.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the capital now to go and pay for them. So yeah, for one, I'm ready to go. You can speak to anyone up and down the country, car dealerships, supercar dealerships. I bought 3 this week for my next competition. And all 3 of them just said, "I've never dealt with someone as easy as that." You didn't want to see the car. You didn't ask us anything about it. You just went, "Where do you want the money?"
But are you also coming in contact with private individuals like me, for example, that are like, say I have a really terrible month at work, and I'm like, shit, I need to get out of my Huracan.
Yeah. And then you get in, so stuff comes, so I think because you get a bit of a name for buying and being a good buyer, cars find me as well, so I don't go out really looking for stuff. Cars find me, like you mentioned, there's an SVR next to the van. The chap's not in financial difficulty by any means, but he wants to buy a house and he wants to complete next week and he needs the car gone today. So I'm ready to go. So the car's here and it'll be online later. As soon as we're done this, my next job's to picture that and get it gone.
So where are you selling that?
I'll sell it on my social pages, really. I usually give stuff a few days on there. What I do, and I've always done this, and this probably comes back to what I've learned for lead generation. If I have a car online and I've sold it, anyone that inquires on that car, I go, just text me the car. So like, for instance, let's stick with SVR, yeah. I had an SVR online 2 months ago, and then I sold it pretty quick, but I never if I put an Auto Trader ad, which people don't like when they ring, they go, "I'll take it off if it's sold." But I do lead generation for a living and it costs a lot of money. An Auto Trader advert's £120 for about 8 weeks. So I just leave the advert on.
As a private seller?
As a private seller. Well, I've got my own JPS car sale, which is the trade. It's on.
So you are buying and selling the cars through a business?
Through a business, yeah, 100%.
I was going to say, because eventually if you keep doing this in your personal name, there's going to be knocks on the door.
They're all bought through a limited business.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a limited trading company. You have an Auto Trader profile. Some people will have it as their own business, as a retailer, as an end user. Mine's as a trade. So mine just comes up as JPS Trade Cars. So I have a trade platform on Auto Trader. Most stuff doesn't end up on there, but I did put an SVR on there a couple of months ago. And whenever I put if I'm going to go to the effort of spending money on Auto Trader, I put it on for the longest time I can put it on for. Because I think if I get another one of those cars within the next 3 months, if anyone's inquired for that car in the last 3 months, I'll have asked them to text me saying I'm looking for an SVR. So this morning I've bought that. I've just put SVR into my phone. Because anyone that's rang me in the last 3 months that's asked for that car, I've just said it's gone, but drop me a message because I get them all the time. I just searched SVR, it brought 9 people up that's messaged me in the last 2 months for an SVR, and I've just rang them all this morning.
So hypothetically, if I bought that SVJ, where are the photos taken of it?
On the road straight outside.
Literally on the road straight outside.
No prim and...
Do you not get like... So I'm in the position like you were when you were younger and you bought that RS6.
Yeah.
I've just taken my first dividend out of my business. I want to go and buy a special car. Something the doors go up, looks insane, all the rest.
Yeah.
There would definitely be the element of me that's just like, right, I want the cover off. I want the bottle of champagne. I want to take my girlfriend with me to come and have a look at it. Like, this is a hell of a day.
Yeah.
Now, I understand that the people that know Johnny from Donny know Johnny from Donny. But I also struggle to see that it must not be really easy to sell a car that you've taken a photo of on your private street that you live on and just banged it on Auto Trader. Surely you come across a level of worry on that, right?
No, not my way of selling. I think what you're saying there, though, is from an end user perspective. So you're going to be the person that buys that car to keep. I'm trying to appeal to someone that wants to take it from me, and I've left enough money in the car for them to go on and resell again at their own profit.
So how the hell have you paid $295 for it? How do you do that?
Coming back to what I was saying, people say, oh, you sell stuff really easy. You must be a good salesman. I'm a better buyer than I am a salesman, because the ability to sell something quick and easy is the price you pay for it. So my ability to get cars out the door fast is because they're priced well. And somebody else can look at a car. Anything I've advertised today, anybody could buy that's in this industry could buy those cars and go on and make further profit out of them. But that's because I've managed to buy the car at the right price to make my money and leave enough meat on the bone for you to make yours.
And is that inquiries that come through Instagram?
Yeah, so Instagram, I've got an amazing black book though. So my Instagram over the last 7-8 months has blown up because I took it off private. Like up until middle of last year, it was a private page, and I used to get rang. I've got your number off so and so. He says you've got this car, because obviously because it was a private page, you couldn't forward the story on, you couldn't screen like so yeah. So it comes, some of it comes through Instagram, but I've got because I've been at it, like, it sounds cliche, but I've been wheeling and dealing, as we've said, from 11-year-old. I got an amazing black book, and I've got so many contacts up and down the country, and I've done so many deals over the years.
But you must have got stung on some, right, as well, yeah? Because if you're trading that fast at the end of your nose, we're dealing with cars, watches, anything that you can sell. Like, if I offer you my watch today, like, aside of cost, how do you know if you're paying for that watch that's real or fake straight away? Do you have all the knowledge for yourself to be able to make that decision?
So I know what they're doing, and I know what I should. I just need to know the year. That's it. I need to know the year and if all the links are with it.
But have you been stung on ones that are fake? Have you been stung on cars that have been stolen?
No, never stolen. I've bought cars that have needed, after very short periods of time, major work that then put you the wrong way in them. But you just move on. Get the car out the door. I mean, I sold a Turbo S 5 weeks ago and I made a 30 grand loss on it because I had to put an engine and 2 turbos on it. But I'm not bothered. Because the sooner the car's gone and out the door, the sooner the money's back in making money. I don't sit and dwell on that fact. I just...
if you're running a business that's really big,
in
energy, and you've got all those people in the office, do you have like a team in there that keeps that ticking every day?
Yeah.
For you? Senior management?
Yeah, I have a manager in there, which is my best friend.
Do you think that you do all of this stuff because you've got crazy ADHD?
I don't know, I don't know whether I'm undiagnosed with that. I think growing up, ADHD wasn't as spoke about as it is today. I don't really know.
But a lot of people call it a superpower.
Yeah, if I've got it, I've got it. And I'm not bothered either way, if I am.
Well, it seems like that you have to be selling these cars constantly.
I have to be
happy. Do you think if someone took away the wheeling and dealing side of your life and just left you with running a business, even if it was churning money, do you think you'd be happy?
Maybe. It took me a long time in business to learn how not to micromanage. I think the wheeling and dealing aspect of it is easy because a lot of it's just me. I make the decision. I decide what value it is. I decide what it gets sold at. I'm doing that as a keep busy thing. But it did take me a long time running the call centres and things like that to learn not to micromanage. Definitely. And looking at certain things being done within the business, and I'd look and I'd see it and I'd think I could do that better than that's being done. And it took me a long time to learn to actually just accept 70% of yourself and the business will grow. If you try and do every task for everybody within the business, why are they here? Why have we got staff? Why don't you just, so it took me a long time to get to that. And I certainly think with the marketing business now and the lead generation that we do for renewables, I definitely think I've learned to let that go a little bit and live and find its own feet and let staff make errors and things like that.
Well, one of the first videos I actually saw on the Instagram accounts that you say are now public for people to see and that have been growing and blowing up was your famous line,
Yeah, it's fucking raffle time.
It's fucking raffle time. You mentioned that you spotted the gap for the energy and solar blowing up when you were at a young age there. Was you getting into raffles a similar thing later in life?
Yeah. I'll tell you where it's come from. So again, it comes back to I get more enjoyment out of the market. I mean, obviously we've got hundreds of winners now over the last couple of years. But yeah, I seen a bit of a gap in the market. I'll tell you what I saw.
A gap in the market in the competitions industry.
100%. And I tell you, and whether anyone in this industry wants to agree with this, I know for a fact I've 100% raised the bar of what's needed to market these businesses. I know for a fact, because the effort that we've put in, or I've put in, and the way that I market the prizes, since we've been doing it a couple of years ago, when I looked at it a few years ago, everyone just takes pictures of cars, puts it on a website. And it's all, since then, everyone's doing videos. They've got people presenting for them now. They're putting more time and effort into the prize. Because what I saw when I was looking at, I mean, I was buying tickets from all the main websites, and the thing I thought is I've sold solar for so long, and as much as I can sell it from a make sense perspective, it's so boring. It's a boring product. I can't sit here and make it sound sexy. And when I was looking at like that whole industry of competitions and what they're giving away, and there's some mega prizes, I think you just took a picture of it. That your product has got so much more to offer. The people that are buying it, show them. Most of them is just pictures. Now there's videos, there's noise, there's all the snippets, there's the emotion that comes with what someone's actually going to win. And that's the bit I think I've nailed, is I've sold a non-tangible, non-sexy, emotionless product for so long, and I've done really well at selling it, that you then give me a car to sell and market. Well, it's got so much going for it, so it's so easy to do. So that was the niche.
You say that, but I'm going to challenge you, because you're talking about a car out there, for example.
Yeah.
Are you planning on raffling the SVJ? Or do you think
No,
you'll
not
sell
that
it?
one. I'll just sell it.
So what's like one of the most valuable cars you've raffled?
A Revoluto.
A Revoluto. And ask what you paid for that car.
£575.
£575,000.
Yeah.
Now, you've got about 90,000 followers on your Instagram.
Yeah.
How do you sell that many tickets to cover a car of that value?
I think it's good personal brand. So it's the only thing I can put it down to. Is it good?
Do you sell all the tickets organically?
We sell them
through your
organic.
socials?
No. So obviously, my main business is lead generation, where we do so much paid traffic. I don't pay a single pound towards the competition marketing. Not one. All organic traffic, which is just worth its weight in gold.
And you post the list of everyone they're raffling on Facebook.
We post it all.
Talk me through the Revuelto raffle.
Yeah, so that actually went on with two other cars, and it went on with 16 prizes in total. That being the main prize. Second prize was a delivery mileage Sterato. Third prize was a 73 plate Porsche Dakar 911.
Is this for first, second, third?
First, second, third, and then
You went up to like £1 million in value.
Yeah, well over £1 million. Yeah, and then 3 brand new buggies, and then we do 10 lots of 10. That raffle was 10 lots of £10,000 cash prize.
So what are your tickets valued at?
£250. So because the way we've done it is
£250.
£250 a ticket. So that market's full. The competition market now is full of, and the more I watch it, the lower and lower the ticket price is getting. Is full of low price tickets.
Yeah, 29p.
I've seen them now where they're a penny and it's 3p and 4p. But obviously with that then comes the odds that come with more ticket sales. So I think my niche has been a higher ticket price with better odds. So people are paying the extra money to be given a better chance of winning, I think. And I mean, my demographic and people playing my competition is not somebody who's maybe going to go on a website and pay 99p. I think they're two different customer levels. So I think what I've definitely managed to do is harvest the interest in a higher ticket price with lower odds.
I just can't fathom that there is the amount of people coming through those socials to spend £250 a ticket to cover £1 million prize.
Yeah.
But there is.
It comes back to what I said though. So obviously a lot of the emphasis is on Instagram and things like that, but I pride myself on my black book. So as I said to you, I only turn.
What will you have one customer spending?
Well, we won't allow people to spend over a certain amount anyway. So if someone comes to you and they want to stay, a stupid amount of tickets, we don't do it. But on average, most people take 2 tickets, 1 to 2 tickets. You might get someone that comes along and takes 10 tickets.
You got people spending 500 quid a month.
Quid. So, but 10 tickets is £2.5 grand. But again, coming back to my black book of people, I've got a real good network of business owners where that's why I'm saying I know multiple business owners play me raffles, even down to some of the lads that own some of these major competition sites, that have earned a good few quid in the last few years. They'll come along, take 10 tickets because they know the script. They're offering low odds on their own sites, but they're coming along and getting, they're offering high odds on their own site, but coming along and getting low odds with me to spend a bit more money. Do you see what I'm saying?
Have you ever not sold the tickets on a car?
Yeah. I'd done one middle of last summer, and I think we was about 400 grand the wrong way. And I just
400 grand the wrong way.
400 grand the wrong way.
How did you get that wrong?
We didn't do the tickets. Didn't do enough tickets for what had been spent, and then obviously the draw date were looming, so drew it anyway.
Because you still have, I know we spoke about Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah.
To get to that. You still have a website that has all the terms and conditions.
All the T's and
on
C's.
them.
It's all the T's and C's. There's a free entry route. So as with every other competition site, you have to offer people the ability to enter for free. So we still get the cards in the post where people don't pay for the tickets.
If you get burnt 400 grand on a raffle for a vehicle, what makes you launch the next one?
To get it back.
What if you lose 100 grand on that one?
Go again. It's just mindset, I think.
So have you ever gambled?
I don't gamble. No, not at all. No, not in the sense of I don't go to the casino. I don't do the slot machines. I don't gamble. I do buy tickets on certain cars on all various other competition pages. If I see something on there, I'll buy a few, but I don't buy loads. Like they'll probably have players on there that are buying a good few, but I don't. Even down to the point of trying to think what it was. I think another site done a Revoluto not long ago. I think it was on 7 days. I think I only had £5 of tickets, which someone might say you're tight, but I just don't gamble. Like I'm happy to take risk within business because in my mind that ain't gambling anyway because it isn't going to go wrong.
So if you could only have one business and be doing one thing out of the stuff that you've got continuum, what would it be?
Buying and selling cars.
And is that from a monetary perspective or is that from an enjoyment perspective?
From the deal. The person to it's from the person to person deal. Like that's the bit I love. Like I say, I don't want to keep beating the same drum, but I pride myself on my black book of me, and that black book's come from years and years of buying and selling and wheeling and dealing. And people ring, my phone rings every day, mate. You'll know this. Do you know someone for this? Yeah. And how I know that person could be I've sold them something 6 years ago. My phone rang this morning. Do you know so and so? He ain't got his number yet. So oh mate, perfect. I've been trying to get this fella's number everywhere. I got rang yesterday, mate. Do you know? Have you got a man that I can get that's got good lease deals on an Amarok? I went, yeah. I just know my mate took one the other day and then he told me about it. It's just I pride myself on my network, and again, without being like business 101, people say your network's your net worth, and I think I've got one of the best.
So why did you go from private network to public network? Why are you on this podcast?
Yeah, in terms.
Why did you want to come on and show yourself and speak? And tell everybody about this.
I'm on this podcast. I said to you, I've been asked to do loads of these for many years now, but I don't watch them. Like, no discredit to who's asked me, but I just don't watch their podcasts. And I think I watch your podcast. Like, I think you get lots of different interesting people. I love business. I love business people. I'm not sat here saying I get it all right. I know it all. I just want to be a sponge, and I've always been like that. And if I can watch something and take one thing from that or one thing from them, use it, say it, do it. I just love that aspect of it. So I think you've had loads of off the cuff guests where I know of them, I've seen things, and then you just get a bit of a better insight into maybe how they do it. And they might say one thing over the full podcast that you think, that's great.
With people though, with like you, because I obviously wanted to have you on because so many people say so many different things about Johnny from Donny, what you do, where you come from, how you make money, all the rest of it. What is a comment that you see constantly online that you'd quite like to maybe talk about here? Surely you get is this all legit?
Is it legit? I think people immediately think that if you're in business, you're this certain type of person, prim, proper. I think I'm so off the cuff with everything I do. I'm not in business and I've never been in business. Some people are in business purely to have their name on a door somewhere and say, I'm the manager, I'm the owner, I'm the director. I'm just not bothered. I'd rather actually someone mistake me for a member of staff and go and speak to someone else, you know. And then all my life in most meetings I've been in and stuff like that, I just keep quiet, this, that, the other. And then they go, oh, you go, John. And then you get talking and people go, wait a minute, are you John? You go, yeah, John, the owner, John. They go, oh, and then the whole demeanour changes, how they then perceive you. Like, I don't go to work in a suit.
I go in a tracksuit.
I go in a tracksuit.
Why do you think I've worn my finest tracksuit here today?
I go in a tracksuit. I just want to get the job done. And I think people's perception is immediately, I mean, an easy example is we love the quads, right? All me and my mates, we've all got quads. My quads, effectively brand new. It's taxed. It's insured. It's paid for with hard-working money. But the second you sit on it, you're a thug. Do you know what I mean? It's that perception, and I think so. It's like we just go on the quads and we go out and we don't destroy any farmers' fields. We don't go anywhere we shouldn't. We go riding, we green lane, we do all those things. But the public's perception of anyone riding a quad is that they're some thug that's just up to no good. Do you see what I'm saying? So I don't really know. So I don't want to sit here and say, I need to correct this and need to correct that, because I just take any comment about me or anything you want to say about me, I take it with a pinch of salt anyway. But I think certainly people's perception is that a business person should be and conduct himself in such a manner, it should be this. But I've never been like that anyway. I'm just one of the lads. I'm one of the lads. I treat people how I find them. I work really hard, legitimately hard. Do you know what I mean? And I think people can... I mean, a lot of it comes from, like, if I buy a car brand new, coming back to, I'm not really interested in the car. I'm interested in the chase of getting it and then at some point selling it on. That's the bit that interests me. So I could happily buy a car, which I've done many, many times. I mean, I bought an SVR, brand new SVR in 2019. It had 300 miles on it for me getting back from Scotland where I got it. And I rung my mate. I said, is the gate open on the quarry? He went, yeah. I went, right, go on, I'm going up there. And we was in the quarry in this car for the best part of like 3 hours. And it had 300 miles on the clock. And we were just rallying it up hills. But like, people would immediately think, oh, you can't have possibly earned that money legitimately. Because who would go and work really hard, spend all that money and then go treat that item like that? But I just have. I just have, and I've done it all my life.
So what's your biggest fear?
In terms of what? In life or business?
Because have you ever seen those programs? And there was a really famous one in America where they would like give a multi-millionaire about $100 to start off with, or it could have even been zero. Yeah. It was how fast could they make $1 million? Yeah. And it was over like 90 days. Do you think if you were given that opportunity to do something like that you could do it very quickly as well?
100%. Certainly now anyway.
Do you have any fear of running out of money?
No, and I tell you, I think why I'm so easygoing with the whole thing is my philosophy on life is this, and this is how I treat people, is I was born with nothing in my pockets. So I'm not bothered if I end up with nothing in my pockets, because I've had a good ride, I've had a good time, I've enjoyed what I've done. I don't think money will ever define me. I love making it, I love spending it, I love enjoying it. If I ain't got any, I'm still the person I was without any. I think I try and keep myself as grounded and as rooted as possible. So it doesn't really matter if I don't have any money. I think my mate said the other day, we was all there, he went, mate, and I this isn't how I see myself, this is how he saw me in the situation. But he said, mate, how is it? You got the most money out of everybody in this room and you look the scruffiest kid every time. And I just went, because if I ever end up in a position where I don't have any money, nothing would change in that situation. I could still just be the scruffiest kid in the room. And I'd still talk the same, I'd do the same, I'd just have a little bit less capital to my name to buy the nicer things, do you know what I mean? But
does having a child change that?
It 100% changes it in terms of not wanting to end up with anything. I mean, as I say...
Do you take less risks now you've got a child?
Slightly less risks. Slightly less risks since having the baby. I take my time a little bit more on certain things where it might be a little bit more risk averse in terms of decision making, or like from a business perspective. Having Harper certainly made me think a little bit more in certain situations where I might have just jumped in 2 feet all guns blazing and go, right, let's do it. And then actually you step back a minute and go, actually, that might not work out, or things like that. So that's definitely changed it. But the way that I'm trying to bring the baby up, which is difficult because you can give her so much. Right now in my life, I can give her so much. She's got 2 free quads. She's got a buggy. She's got a motorbike. She's got every toy. She's not even free. And she's got all these things. So it's difficult to give her everything you're able to give her at the moment in time, but also raise her to understand the value of money and working hard. And I just want to make sure that she grows up with work ethic.
So is that a big fear of yours?
A little bit, yeah. And I know it's a big fear of my mum's that she's not going to have a work ethic. Obviously, my mum's been so instrumental in making sure I've got a work ethic. I think she just maybe looks at it a little bit and wants to make sure. But it is difficult. That's a little bit of a fear, I'd say, if I had to say I had one, is that it's going to come too easy to her and she's not going to understand hard work. But I think right now she doesn't understand anything other than, fairies and princesses and things like that. So I think as she starts to become a little bit older and maybe understanding things a little bit more, I think definitely need to slow down with things she's getting and buying and things like that. I don't want it to turn out, spoiled.
With like your ambition,
Yeah.
and things that you want to do, once you can think about that, and that is obviously like worries of yours, but like where you go as well. You mentioned that you've enjoyed this podcast and sponged up information from other guests.
Yeah.
That part of your life we just spoke about is almost like looking after something, but where you see yourself going, who do you look to for inspiration? Because what you do isn't the norm. What you do isn't the norm. So where do you do? Like for me,
see, I don't realize it's not the norm. I think because I've been so involved in my own progression and for so long, it's usually other people that tell me. Like my friend said, mate, you think your life's normal? Yeah, it's just not. It's just not normal. Like obviously we do a lot of marketing videos for the competitions, and my mate who does that for me, his business. He's like, mate, you need to start YouTube. And I went, I've said it for so long. I went, mate, I just don't want to go on YouTube. I just don't want to be a YouTuber. I don't want that. And I think it can be done really well. I think you do it really well. And lots of other people that I watch, the few things I do watch on YouTube do it really well. I just don't want that stigma of a YouTuber, because I went, it's just not where I want to be. I went, yeah, but mate, people want to see how you're living. People want to see. He said, mate, even from a business perspective, from a human being perspective, he said, all the good and all the things that you do, he said, it's not normal. He said, like, the amount you give to charity.
I was just about to say, I heard a rumour that last year you gave over 400,000 to charity.
Yeah.
Why? Where does that come from? To what charities? Why did pick the ones that you picked? Why did it matter to you? Why wasn't that another car or another deal?
I don't know. I mean, I know why I do it. I ultimately do. The charity sort of finds me. I've always been generous and I've always been charitable. My grandpa, he was the same. He was really charitable. My mum's dad, and he was generous, more generous than charitable. And I think it just comes back to this. We didn't have a lot growing up. Like I said, I ain't got the violin out saying I had a bad upbringing, because we really didn't. But for us to go on one holiday a year, whether it was in this country or, close by, minimal expense, was like a major task for my mum. My mum saved up all year to take us on holiday. So we had just enough to pay every bill and then maybe put a little bit away to go. So I think I just got to the point now where I have so many things and so readily available. They're like capital readily available to go on and just do whatever. I just think, for my own conscience, I've come from nothing, and I just try to give a little bit. But I got taught. I'm not religious by any means, but I work with a lot of Muslim lads, and I knock around with a lot of Muslim lads as well. And they say in their religion, anything that's given in charity comes back to you in 10 times over. Not necessarily monetary, just in wealth and in value of life. And you watch any entrepreneur that says, any pound given in goodwill never ever will cost you a pound anyway. So I'm not saying I'm giving it because I don't, but I just giving it because I genuinely believe if I can learn to afford to give that amount of money away, I just think if I can build that into what I'm doing, and still be able to afford to give that away.
As you mentioned the word for philanthropy.
Yeah.
So, do you ever watched any of Mr. Beast's philanthropy stuff?
A little bit.
I thought that's why you might have made.
Yeah, a little bit. And so, I mean, I only started using that word recently because someone said to me, that's what you are. I said, whether you know it or not, that is effectively where you're at in your life, and that's what you're doing. But yeah, I think the reason for the charity is just, it's good. And I think certainly since having the baby, I've certainly looked at life a little bit different. And obviously, I just think, and a lot of what I give to, a lot of my charity is poorly children. Some of it's adult and things, or adults doing, sponsored climbs, sponsored runs. But it's always at the heart of it. I think if I looked at what I did last year and looked at if I went back to the cause of nearly all of it, even though the majority of it's maybe adults that's doing the work for the sponsorship, it's always a poorly child at some point. I think that would probably be 80% of what I get.
Why does that matter?
Since I've had the baby, I just look at life differently. And I just think if she was in that position and I wasn't in the position to do maybe the healthcare, what's needed for operations and things like that, it'd just kill me. And I think because I am in a position to do it and learn to afford it as I'm doing it, my thing last year was I wanted to give £1,000 a day to charity. That was my goal that I set myself. I wanted to make sure that over the course of the year it equated to £1,000 a day. So no matter what I do in life, I have to learn to afford £1,000 a day to give to somebody else. And I did it last year. So and that's why I say 80% of what I'm giving to is at the heart of whatever the funding's for is usually a child of ill health. So I think I've definitely stepped it up since I've had the baby. And I do a lot of grassroots as well. A lot of grassroots. I mean, a friend of mine who's got a little lad, his lad was playing in a tournament the other week, football. He rung me and went, mate, you sponsor every team in this tournament. The name Johnny from Donny's on every kit in the tournament.
Is there a point, though, that when you've got that black book and you've got that many people getting in touch with you and burning your phone down, that even at £1,000 a day, you have to say, I just can't do it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and I also look at maybe, and what I always try, anyone that asks me that I've done business with, or it's for their kids, or it's for someone who works for their business, I always favour that. I know it's difficult to make that decision because you at some point you have to say no. If not, you'd be working for everybody else. And if business isn't healthy, then you're not going to be in a position to give what you're giving in the first place. So I'm definitely getting a lot of people ask me. But then when I look at, and we done a giveaway at Christmas where I was giving, again, I let the stories find me. I gave away these Revis. That was like the hot topic for Christmas. And yeah, I just let the stories find me. But obviously, I only bought X amount of bikes to give away and I had thousands of messages. So it's so difficult reading them. But I mean, I read every one. I didn't reply. I'm not saying I replied to everybody. So anyone was going, I didn't reply to me. I read every one of them. And when you actually read that maybe some positions that people are in, I'd be happy just to have nothing in my pockets than be in their position. You know what I mean? So some of the stories, some of the situations, without speaking other people's business that they've, obviously people were putting forward why they should get one and things like that. And then you read the story and it's just, you won't wish it on anybody, some of the stuff you read, do you know what I mean? So I think, while I can, I will. And I said, my stance on charity is if I'm ever in a position where I can't, I won't.
Do you think myself and maybe a lot of other YouTubers, business owners and creators, if we haven't grown up in the same way on the council estates, my dad did, for reference. Yeah. He grew up from a council estate in our local town and made an amazing business. And then I guess I grew up a little bit more like you're saying that your daughter does. Like I had opportunities and things come to me in life. But do you think we're sheltered so much from what the reality 100%. Of some world is?
And I think I am. After reading some of the stuff that I read before Christmas, as much as I'm in touch with it through the bit of work I am doing, even I felt sheltered. Reading some of the things I'm reading, you just think, how is this going on? Abuse, domestic violence. I just some of the stuff you read, and I just thought, I'm sheltered here myself, that this is even happening.
So what would you like your legacy to be?
I mean, my legacy would be that it'd be that I take each day as it comes, treat people how you find them. If you can earn £1, make £1, and if you can give someone half of it, give them half of it. If I had to say anything about it, that's probably what I'd try and say.
Well, an hour with Johnny from Donny that I thoroughly enjoyed. I hope it gives a lot of your audience a bit more insight into you, what goes on, and answered some of their questions around different topics as well. Thank you for joining me in the back of my van. Thank you for letting me have a go in your SVJ, even though we said multiple times, this is pants compared to so-and-so. We don't really mean that fully, but we're just saying in terms, but compared to some other Lambos, it is a little bit pants.
Yeah, you can drive a much better Lamborghini than them. I'm not saying they look better than them. I think they're a good looking car, but they're not necessarily the best. They're not the best driving Lamborghini produced.
So we'll finish on this actually. If you could keep one of the cars that you've had, what would it be?
RS6.
I knew you were going to say that. That's the
RS6.
perfect way to sign off. John,
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much
Thanks a lot.
for coming on.
No problem.